So this week we find out with the Atlantic gets firsthand knowledge of what we plan to do as far as our military raids. This is a complicated story. Okay, I look at it, first of all, I think the journalist is an idiot for disclosing the fact that he was on that list. It doesn't take him anywhere. Wouldn't you have waited a little long and said, wait a second, this isn't that big of a story. Let me wait till they give me some real inside information and then I'll do something with it. But it's a journalist mentality. I got to run my mouth. I got to say I got this. I would have been sat there silently saying, wow, I'm on this email list. Nobody seems to know it. Let me wait for the big story. What do you think?
Oh, yeah. I mean, absolutely. I mean, when you're dealing with something that already happened, you got to think there is a thing as ethics in journalism.
Yes.
And so and depending on who you talk to, whether or not the Atlantic columnist is an ethical journalist is one thing, or whether he's politicized. But the fact of the matter is he did wait until after the event happened,
yes,
so he's not breaking any news. He didn't say what he said were the secretive aspects of the conversation and those that could have been war plans, but he did mention that they were there. So, I think if I were him, I might have waited until something bigger came along, but I don't know if that's quite ethical.
Oh, okay, well, wait a second. Did he have a duty to disclose it? Probably not, to disclose, hey, I'm on this. This is the same thing. If you think back, this is what we accused Hillary of. Hillary was using her private email address for government kind of work. And I mean, it's a story that never went away. I think this story goes away pretty quickly because A, the raid, worked out. Second of all, the journalist at least had enough ethics to say, I'm not going to disclose it till after the fact. But what else do you see about this story?
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate. I think that you're absolutely right in that it will probably just be brushed aside.
Yeah, it'll be. It's a week-long story.
But the problem is that the reason why it was such a big deal when Hillary did it, the reason why it was such a big deal when Trump had his classified documents in Mar-a-Lago, the reason why it was such a big deal when Biden had his classified documents in his basement next to his car,
exactly,
is because this is all information that could lead to the harm of U.S. citizens, or that could damage our standing in the world. And if people get a hold of that, it's bad. Well, so we need to have very good structures, which is a SCIF and other ways to make sure that this secretive information stays secretive. Well, doesn't do that.
It needs to be cause and effect. If you did this, there's a price to pay for doing it. But at the end of the day, with Trump, nothing developed. With Biden, nothing. I mean, if you take a look at both of those, we really never knew what Biden had there in his garage. I mean, the media, God, we don't want to talk about it. With Trump, at the end of the day, we never really fully understood what he had. There are all these accusations. I wonder if he's got this, I wonder if he's got, but nothing really came out of this. This is pretty direct, though. This is where the government says, hey, let's put this journalist on the list.
Well, that's why it should be a bigger deal, and that's why we're talking about it, right? Because it's not only the fact that one person did it, it was a whole team. You had your head of DNI, you had your vice president.
How many eyes were on it? Yeah, that's your point.
You had so many different people that you could confirm were on this text thread that were able to speak about openly what their strategy was. And it's something that any of our foreign adversaries would love to know.
And Waltz, of course, had some relationship with the Atlantic. No more. The Atlantic, you talk about being cut out of the whole scene. They ain't ever going to walk into the White House again and have access to anything. But I really, as I looked at the story, I said, why did you blow it here? You were on this list. I don't know that you had a duty to disclose, hey, I'm on the list. Maybe when you got the story, you had the duty to disclose, well, I've got the story. But maybe a bigger story, because this is not like a huge story.
I agree with you. I will say this. I think that if you want to give the journalist the most optimistic view, it would be that he was doing something which was sounding the alarm so that way something greater didn't happen.
Yeah.
If they were doing this and they had multiple text threads up and they had other people that shouldn't have been on it, and if they were in fact giving out secretive and top secret information on public data.
But do you make a telephone call? Do you say, hey, I'm on this list, you sent me this? Or do you do what the journalists want to do? Hey, I'm bigger than life.
Well,
I'm breaking a story.
I think you break the story.
Okay, all right, good enough. Good enough. Well, he broke the story too soon is my point.
Yeah.
He probably should have waited a little bit longer. Thanks a lot, man.
Thanks, Pat.